Chapter 5, Levels of the Hadiths. After discussing the conditions of acceptability, it is suitable to discuss the varying levels of the Hadiths, from most authentic to rejected. Section 1, the narration that fulfills the highest conditions of acceptability. If the narration has gathered the highest conditions of acceptability, then it has authenticity, sihha. This kind of hadith is famously called Sahih, sound or authentic. Literally, Sahih means healthy. Because it has the meaning of soundness, it is used to mean correct. Here, we will call it, meaning in our English document, we will call it a sound hadith or an authentic hadith. If its authenticity is not dependent upon any outside element, as will be clarified, God willing, it would then be intrinsically sound, sahih bidhat. This means that it is authentic by itself. What this means is, we're talking here about a hadith that its authenticity, it is independently authentic. It's independently authentic. Let's say it that way. I like that better. Independently sound. It's independently sound. It doesn't need something else to make it sound. Benefit, the traditional arrangement of hadith terminology books. Here is where the books of Mustalah usually begin. They start with the clarification of the Sahih hadith, because that is the diamond that we are searching for. Then they mention what comes after it in strength, the Hasan hadith. And then what follows, the weak hadith, and then they go from there. The author of Al-Bayquniyya said, this is the beginning of his poem after his introduction, أولها الصحيح وهو ما اتصل إسناده ولم يشذ أو يعل يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله معتمد في ضبطه ونقله. The first is the sound hadith. It is that which its chain is continuous. It is not irregular or defective. An upright, precise person narrated it from someone like himself. He is reliable in his precision and transmission. We have the lines of Al-Iraqi's poem there. I'll skip them though. The point is made. Ibn Hajar, may Allah give him everlasting pleasure, was the first to start a book of Mustalah by discussing the routes through which the hadiths come, instead of first discussing their strength. So usually those Mustalah books, they start by talking about the strength of the hadith. Ibn Hajar invented a new arrangement, which was to start by the number of routes for the hadith, and then he went from there. This is why he said in the beginning of An-Nukhbah, ala tartibin ibtakartuh, according to a sequence that I invented. He's saying, this book here that I wrote, I'm the first one to make a Mustalah book in this order. This amateur attempt that you are reading, the book that we're reading now, because I'm an amateur, is a trace of his genius because I copied him. Except that this book started with the people who are the source of our religion. Except that this book started with the people who are the source of our religion, and then mentioned the number of routes that a report may have, as you have seen, and Allah knows best. Section 2, the narration that fulfills the lowest conditions of acceptability. So that means what? It means it's acceptable. So there's a range there of acceptability. There's a lower level of acceptability and a higher level of acceptability. So that means it's all acceptable. That's good. If the precision of the narrator were less than what was described, meaning he doesn't memorize that well, he memorized the whole library. However, he took care of his books by double checking them for correctness and by protecting them, for example, not leaving them in simply any corner or in any chair or table, and by being biased about to whom he lends his books, and therefore can safely and precisely convey from his books whenever he needs them, then this is the precision called book precision, Dabtu Kitab. It is not the complete precision needed for his narrations to be independently sound. However, his reports still have fairness. They're fair, goodness, husn, i.e., they are still all by themselves, reliable and strong. Thus, they are independently good. Hasan bizat. The word Hasan linguistically means good or beautiful. Herein, we will call it a strong hadith or a fair hadith. So, are you a Sahih narrator, or are you a Hasan narrator, or are you a Da'if narrator? So when I learned what it takes to be a Hasan narrator, so then I started never leaving my books anywhere. When I was in Lebanon, we used to go to lunch, and all the students would leave their books on their tables. We would go down to the courtyard, I guess, eat there, and then go back to class. I'll be the only one who brings my backpack with me. And they would always ask me, why you bring your book? Why didn't you leave your books up there? I told them, because the Hasan narrator protects his books. So I did that until it became a habit. It was difficult for me to leave my book somewhere. Then one time I did leave my book. I said, Yalla, khalas. I left my book on the table in the musalla for a dawrah. This was after I had established my habit. Then we took a break. I came back and my book was gone. And Sheikh Samir started the lesson. And I'm walking all around looking for my book. Where's my book? Until I found it. Someone moved it and put it on another desk somewhere. 15 minutes gone. Thus, we are using authentic or sound for what is stronger than what we are calling strong. So be sure to follow along. It is also clear for you that there are two types of precision. The precision of the chest, which is when one memorizes masterfully, and the precision of the book, which is when one gives great heed to his books. Also, I've lent books that I've never gotten back. Yes, the scholars of old had several sayings about what a Hasan hadith is, but the saying upon which the terminology settled is that it is what fulfills the conditions of acceptability, except that its narrator's precision is deficient in comparison to that of the narrator of the sound hadith. Yani doesn't memorize as well as the Sahih narrator. Now, know that a strong hadith can be strengthened by other hadiths with the same meaning. Hasan hadith. So you're following now, you have to be keeping track of the terminology here. Strong hadith means something here. Now know that a strong hadith can be strengthened by other hadiths with the same meaning. If the strong hadith is strengthened, it becomes sound. However, it is not independently sound. Rather, it is sound by some outside element. So it is, let's keep it easy here, dependently sound. Benefit. Among the books that are thought to be a source of Hasan hadiths, you know where to find the Sahih hadiths, right? Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. We're going to talk about other Sahih hadiths, books. The Sahih books, the books of Sahih, we'll talk about them. What about the Hasan books? Are there? There are. Among the books that are thought to be a source of Hasan hadiths is the Sunan of Abu Dawood. Al-Iraqi said, I'll just read the English. Ibn Salah said, among its assumed places, meaning the Hasan Hadith, is the Sunan of Abi Dawood as-Sijistani, may Allah have mercy upon him. We were made to narrate from him, from Abu Dawood, that he said, I have mentioned therein what is Sahih, and what resembles it, and what comes close to it. So he's saying, I have Hasan Hadiths in my book. As Suyuti added, among the assumed places of the Hasan Hadith also is the Sunan of Ad-Daraqutni, for surely he documented many of that type. On the other hand, the books of Sunan are not generally said to be books of Hasan Hadiths. Books of Sunan, we're going to talk about that. I'm not going to stop there now. Just keep note of it. So what do we need to come back to? The books of Sahih? We didn't talk about that yet. It's coming. The books of Sunan, what does that mean? That's coming also. The books of Sunan are not generally said to be books of Hasan Hadith. So that's a group of books, the Sunan, of different authors called Sunan. As opposed to Al-Baghawi said that the Sunan, the books of Sunan, so this is Hadith terminology, the books of Sunan, Al-Baghawi said the books of Sunan are books of Hasan Hadiths. Al-Iraqi said Al-Baghawi was rejected concerning his naming in his book Al-Masabih, that which the authors of the Sunan narrated as Hasan Hadiths. For in the Sunan, there are other than Hasan Hadiths, whether da'if or sahih. If the narration misses one or more of the conditions of acceptability, then it is weak. What are the conditions of acceptability? Continual chain, lack of a hidden defect, lack of an anomaly, precision of the narrator, uprightness of the narrator, and what? And a supporter, if you need it. A reinforcement. That's what we're talking about now. Didn't we say strong hadith can be bumped up to sound hadith? That means there's a supporter, a reinforcement for it. That's a condition for sometimes. So if the narration misses one or more of the conditions of acceptability, then it is weak, da'if, which is also called rejected, mardud. There are many types of weak hadiths and reasons for rejection. We will discuss several of them when we reach the chapters dedicated to rejection, God willing. Therefore, a missing narrator in the chain is a type of weakness. A hidden defect is another type of weakness. An anomaly is yet another, and a weak narrator is a fourth. And they may have various scenarios, combinations. If a narration misses two conditions, then that's another weakness. And every combination of missing conditions is another type of weakness. So there's many types of weak hadiths. Also, weakness varies. Some hadiths are only slightly weak, such as i'malu bimuhkamih wa aminu bimutashabihih. Apply what is explicit of the Quran and believe in its ambiguous. Some weak hadiths are at the apex of weakness, the worst being the fabrication. God willing, we will end the book with that type, the fabrication, as a sign of its debasement and wretchedness, like the author of Al-Bayquniyah. It is not always the case that a weak narration can be strengthened. But if it is, then it becomes dependently strong. Hasan bil ghayr. Now, take several benefits, not now. The next time, you'll take several benefits, inshallah.